Alien is a 1979 science fiction horror film directed by Ridley Scott, based on a story by Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett. In this video, we'll go through the deleted scenes from the film. Did you know that the first cut of the movie was about 4 hours long? Deleted scenes are sequences that were filmed but ultimately left out of a movie's final cut. These scenes can range from fully completed footage to rough, unfinished versions. They are often included as bonus material in home media releases, documentaries, or rare television broadcasts. Deleted scenes almost always appear in a film's work print or other early edit versions, though these versions can be extremely difficult to find. In some cases, deleted or extended scenes are included in special editions of a film, such as a director's cut or special edition. If the deleted scenes haven't been released publicly, their content can often be reconstructed from scripts. Production documentation can also help determine which scripted scenes were actually filmed. The film follows a commercial starship crew who investigate a derelict space vessel and are hunted by a deadly extraterrestrial creature. Alien is one of the greatest masterpieces in modern film history. It blends two extremely challenging genres, horror and science fiction. These genres are difficult because films within them often lose credibility rather quickly. Yet even after more than 45 years, Alien remains both believable and effective, functioning equally well as a science fiction film and as a horror movie. Later, in the 1980s, the Alien franchise began to take shape, and over the following decades it grew into something vast and enduring. Since the first film, the Alien universe has expanded to include numerous alien-themed movies, books, comics, games, and even a TV series. There exists a great deal of deleted material from Alien. The reasons for this abundance of removed scenes can be traced back to the film's production process. The original story was based on a script written in 1976 by Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett, which was purchased by Brandywine Productions. Producers Walter Hill and David Giler reworked and developed the script for the film right up until production began in 1978. In reality, the screenplay continued to undergo extensive revisions even during production. At the beginning of 1978, director Ridley Scott was hired for the project. He began creating storyboards inspired by H.R. Giger's concept art, as well as Hill and Giler's version of the script. It's worth noting in this point that Ridley Scott was not the creator of the original story, contrary to what many people mistakenly believe. Initially, the production had only a small budget. As a result, the script was trimmed down to fit within those limitations. Scott started filming with the available budget while simultaneously pushing the studio to increase it. He shot scenes on existing sets in hopes of convincing the studio to allocate more funds, and he ultimately succeeded in raising the budget considerably. This allowed him to film additional scenes on newly built sets. However, time and money eventually ran out. Altogether, Scott filmed a massive amount of material, over 163 hours. But during editing, the studio imposed a strict runtime requirement that was much shorter than the story demanded. As a result, a substantial amount of footage was cut from the final film. The deleted scenes from the film can be divided into 3 categories, 2 of which we will cover in this video. First, we will go through the scenes that appear in the director's cut version. After that, we will go through the scenes that were removed from the released versions of the film, for which video material exists. The third category of deleted material includes extended versions of scenes, alternate versions, conceptual sequences, and scenes that are known to have been filmed, but for which no footage has ever been released or leaked. In the director's cut, there are about 4.5 minutes of previously unseen, deleted material compared to the theatrical version. What makes this edition unique is that it is not simply the theatrical version with extra footage added. It is a true re-edit that incorporates deleted scenes. As a result, the added material does not directly extend the runtime of the original theatrical cut. In fact, the director's cut is roughly 1 minute shorter than the theatrical release. Ridley Scott shortened several theatrical film scenes and removed a second sequence of Dallas visiting the ship's main computer, Mother, in order to make room for the restored scenes. In addition, some scenes were presented from alternate camera angles. Deleted scenes in the director's cut. Deleted Scene 1. Listening to the signal. The crew gathers to listen to the mysterious transmission. Lambert examines the details of the planetoid sending the signal. The scene is important for building tension ahead of the upcoming expedition. Ridley Scott removed it from the theatrical cut, fearing it would slow the pacing. Deleted Scene 2. Kane and the weapon. An extended sequence of about 11 seconds shows Kane examining the alien eggs while carrying a weapon. In the script, Nostromo's crew had laser guns. Ridley Scott ultimately cut them from the film to avoid undermining the power dynamic once the adult alien appears. Still, a weapon can briefly be seen in the theatrical version in a couple of shots. Deleted Scene 3. The Infirmary. When Ash and Dallas examine Kane, about 37 seconds of footage was cut. In this material, the rest of the crew watches their actions. Parker asks a very good question. "Why don't you guys freeze him?" Ripley enters and Lambert physically lashes out at her. Dallas also presses Ripley on why she didn't follow orders. Deleted Scene 4. Brett's death. Brett's death includes additional angles and new footage. Wider shots show Brett moving through the claw room. The alien is briefly shown lurking above. After the alien kills Brett, Parker and Ripley arrive in the room and Brett's blood drips down onto Parker from above. Deleted Scene 5. The Cocoon Sequence. Perhaps the most mysterious and often misunderstood moment in Alien is the cocoon scene. After activating the Nostromo's self-destruct system, Ripley descends to Deck E. There, she hears noises and eventually discovers Dallas and Brett. Dallas is still alive but in the process of being transformed into an alien egg, while Brett is already much further along in the egg morphing stage. Dallas pleads with Ripley to kill them, and she ultimately burns both with the flamethrower. The scene is incredibly important to the original story and the alien's intended life cycle. Unfortunately, its execution is clumsy and somewhat confusing, leaving viewers uncertain about what is actually being shown. In the screenplay, however, the sequence is much clearer. Ridley Scott cut the scene from the theatrical release due to its ambiguity. He also felt it slowed down, or even halted, the pacing of the film. Next, we will go through the fully deleted scenes that were filmed and either released officially or leaked to the public. Some of this material can be found in various Alien Home media editions. Deleted Scene 1. Rise and Shine. Originally, the crew of the Nostromo was to be introduced during the wake-up sequence. Kane arrives in the galley and begins making coffee. At the same time, he watches the monitors as the crew members awaken one by one, introducing each of them in turn.
We have Parker and Brett be far behind.
Deleted Scene 2. At the derelict entrance. This deleted scene shows Lambert, Dallas, and Kane entering the derelict ship. The scene emphasizes Kane's strong desire to explore the vessel further. Deleted Scene 3. Kane's condition. While the crew investigates the acid burn through the decks, Lambert remains in the infirmary with Ash. She asks Ash about Kane's condition. Multiple takes of this scene were filmed, 2 of which have been released. Deleted Scene 4. Repairs. In this scene, Brett and Parker repair damage to the ship, while Ripley checks on their progress via the intercom. The moment highlights the class tensions among the crew as well as the underlying friction between Ripley and Parker. Deleted Scene 5. After Kane's death. Following Kane's death, the crew gathers to decide their next course of action. They agree to try to capture the chestburster alive, with Parker and Brett tasked to improvise tools for the job. Deleted Scene 6. Ripley comforts Lambert. After Ash and Parker leave, Ripley approaches a shaken Lambert to comfort her. She pointedly asks whether Lambert has ever had a sexual encounter with Ash. The question reveals Ripley's growing suspicion that Ash is either an android or in some way abnormal. Deleted Scene 7. airlock. The mysterious airlock sequence features footage shot on Deck A. Following Parker's instructions, Ripley and Lambert attempt to trap the alien inside the airlock. Deleted Scene 8, Parker and Lambert's deaths. As Lambert and Parker gather coolant cylinders, the alien suddenly appears in the doorway. Lambert throws the cylinders at its feet, while the creature curiously advances toward her. Paralyzed with fear, Lambert freezes as the alien approaches. This version of the scene shows the creature in much greater detail, including its strange crab-like gait. At one point, the alien's tail extends toward Lambert in a disturbingly phallic manner. Ridley Scott ultimately cut the scene, believing the monster was shown too explicitly and risked looking like a man in a rubber suit. The alien's awkward movements also appeared clumsy on screen. However, the sequence did highlight the creature's natural curiosity, a trait emphasized in the original screenplay. In addition to the presented scenes, the film and its story conceal a vast amount of deleted material. The question of why scenes are cut or shortened in films can be answered by the film's pacing and the critical runtime requirements. It is very common for scenes to be shortened or removed entirely to match the general rule of thumb where one script page equals 1 minute of screen time. At the same time, filmmakers aim to maintain the film's tempo and dynamism. Ridley Scott shot approximately 163 hours of footage. This included a great deal of content that, due to changes made during production, was left unused. The previously mentioned airlock scene is one such example. The airlock sequence was an integral part of the original screenplay, but in the end it was cut for budgetary reasons. Scott did, however, shoot several takes of the sequence on Deck A before those sets were repurposed as Deck B interiors. At the time, Scott was unsure if the studio would allow him an expanded budget, so he filmed the Deck A material just in case. Although the budget was eventually increased, he was still forced to abandon the entire airlock sequence. As a result, at least part of the footage intended for the ending of the sequence was never filmed. There were several similar cases during production. Due to the film's strict running time, almost every scene has longer versions, and many also have alternate takes, for example, Brett's death scene. Extended and alternate versions of these moments do exist, and some of the footage has surfaced. This material can be viewed in the video series Alien, Complete Edition. The series compiles every scene tied to the original story, along with conceptual sequences. It also features a reconstruction of the deleted airlock scene. The film's work print, the very first cut, ran about 4 hours in length. From this version, both the theatrical release and the director's cut were derived. When all the unique material publicly available is combined and subtracted from the work print version, what remains is about 100 minutes of filmed story and structure-related material that has never been released or leaked to the public. What does this material contain? What scenes are hidden within it? All of this is explored in another video series, Alien, Missing Scenes. Using production documents and released footage, the series reconstructs every piece of material known to have been filmed. Links to both video series, Complete Edition and Missing Scenes, can be found in this video's description. The channel has released a restored edition version, along with a second revision in which most of the deleted scenes that have leaked to the public have been edited and integrated into the film. In addition, on the parallel channel Alien Vault, which specializes in the Alien franchise, you'll find many more videos related to the Alien movie. Be sure to check these out. Write in the comments if any deleted scene was new to you, what thoughts it sparked, and whether you think it should have been included in the original movie. Also, do you know of any other deleted scenes from the film that weren't mentioned in the video? Don't forget to like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, be sure to do so. By subscribing to the channel, you will receive a reminder when new interesting videos are uploaded to the channel so you don't miss them.
Would you
get off my back, please?
Oh, you poor baby. I'll get off your back as soon as 12 module is fixed.
This broad's a bitch, man.
A prince.